we're joined by Nana, first-time guest.
It's season 2, right?
It's season 2.
Start of season 2. We're starting this off with a live recording. We're all in one place, downtown Toronto. It's
we're literally
$1 trillion a night.
We're actually looking at our main competitor, the CBC, is across the street, and it seems like we're gonna outlive them.
That's
Yeah.
from what I've heard. Housing, right? Like 2 years?
Yeah.
Man, imagine that.
Yeah, so
That's what the said.
have you heard of that? Poilievre?
He did not say that.
Yes. Poilievre, he's had a multi-year crusade against the CBC. Anyone who follows Conservative Party news is probably aware of this, but he hates the CBC, and he said he's gonna radically defund them, first of all, and also he's gonna turn their headquarters into affordable housing to address the housing crisis.
Like a lot of people would actually love that, like, without any, well, they wouldn't think twice. Yeah, fuck yeah, I would take a affordable housing near the CN Tower.
Listen, the CBC actually, the CBC, this isn't scheduled to talk about today, but the CBC actually has acknowledged that they have become unpopular, and they have assembled a task force now to address this problem and review their programming.
I was listening to their podcast, and it was the CBC reporters talking about the fact that, like, the CBC's reporting is pretty average. I mean, it's average is good. It's good, you know. It's average, that's fine. And they were just like, yeah, but everyone hates us, and we're probably going to get defunded and lose all our jobs in a couple of years, so that's cool,
We need to address... I think they've acknowledged that a lot of their programming, while maybe, like, good that it exists, no one is listening to it or watching it is another issue.
So...
Well, I think news is falling for the same trap that books have fallen for, which is that, like, no one reads anymore and no one really cares.
Yeah.
So here's the plug. I don't have Netflix. I don't have any streaming service, but the CBC Gem is fully free. Given by the government.
There is a CBC streaming service.
It's fantastic.
And it includes non-CBC shows like Due South.
Or Shrek 2. For some reason, it's
No way!
Incredible. It's not a
That's
first
the original.
No, Shrek 2, the English, is given for free.
Right, they have a great show called Best in Miniature.
I love that.
Elisa is also in
Wait,
the
is it a
room.
Canadian production?
Shrek 2?
Yeah.
Is
No,
Shrek 2?
Shrek 2 is DreamWorks.
Yeah.
That's in California.
For some reason, Shrek 2 is given for free by the Canadian CBC.
That's weird.
On Gem.
God, I love living in this country.
They have some bangers.
Trudeau's
right?
Canada.
Okay.
So is the CBC where they do all the Canadian TV shows? Like
They do some
They do
TV
some.
shows.
Like
Okay.
Schitt's Creek, for example, or Kim's Convenience.
I mean, they hit.
And
they
Best
hit big with
in, or
those
Best
two.
in Miniature.
Yeah, Murdoch Mystery.
Nah, I have never heard of that one. What?
Okay, well, Elisa, if you're listening, Elisa's also in the room and she made me say Best in Miniature is on CBC Gem.
It deserves a shout out. It's so good.
It's a competition show where like guys who make, or it's actually mostly women.
Wait,
but
can I guess
people,
what it is?
Go ahead.
Do they?
You have a guess?
Do they make little like figurines? Out of wood?
Yes. They make.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So the format of the show, and this is wildly off topic, but the format of the show is they make a dollhouse and then they fill it room by room. And make it look as accurate to full
that's
scale.
sick.
It's a great show.
Do they do it live? Is it a live show now? Or is it like
No, it's like a reality show.
reruns?
It's like a competition, like MasterChef or something.
Oh, so it wasn't. It's like live. Like it's not.
Is
like,
it still ongoing though? Like, can I watch it live
There's
now?
like 3 seasons. I think they're doing a 4th. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
The third season is airing on TV, like now.
Okay.
And sorry, where can I watch it?
CBC Gem for
CBC
free.
Gem.
You can watch it now on CBC Gem on your iPad, iPhone, or Android app.
You have to watch ads, but then you can get ads for Little Canada, which is a miniature installation in downtown Toronto.
Okay.
Think of banging ads. Think of banging ads, and I guess something that would make sense being a cold opener. The Leafs, bad.
They're out. Woo! Let's
fuck
go.
off.
No,
Actually,
But
Confederation
heritage moments.
Heritage. Oh yeah, if you're watching the NHL, you might have seen they brought heritage moments back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they never left.
But
His
yeah.
people may be slow, but this one is fast.
Yeah, there's some questionable
Tom
stuff.
Longboat was?
Yeah. Yes.
Holy shit!
There's
that
some
was
good ones.
that was unreal.
The best one
watching
is the World War I hockey one so far. That was a
The
great one.
Winnipeg Falcons, right?
But also, listen, I have a theory here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Canucks must win the Stanley Cup, or Confederation is over.
Yeah.
Right?
What is Confederation?
Confederation is the union of the provinces.
Like Canada.
Like it's the terms of agreement that we all signed when the country was formed.
Oh,
right?
okay,
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
right?
okay.
So here's the theory, right? sure, any American team could win, but who wants that, right? Who cares? We all want a Canadian team to win, and our options were the Leafs. Obviously, we don't want them.
Sadly.
Okay, that was never an option.
Yeah.
Let me be you.
Yeah, that was never going to happen. Eliminated in the first round as God intended, right? The Jets...
How dare you say that in Toronto, downtown?
Listen, the Jets eliminated in the first round. To be expected. What can you do about that? Oilers and Canucks,
Still in the game?
Right.
Still in the game.
Still in the game. They're facing each other right now.
Oh.
And the Canucks versus Oilers...
And we want the Canucks to beat the Oilers?
Yeah, and here's why, okay? The Canadiens right now are in a multi-year rebuild. They're currently the third or fourth worst team in the league, but they're also the team for Quebec. And the Habs are closely intertwined with, like, Quebecois identity.
Yeah.
In the 50s, when Habs star forward Maurice Richard was suspended, it caused riots, nationalist riots in Quebec, famously.
Oh, wow.
Right? So they care a lot about the Montreal Canadiens in Quebec. But the Montreal Canadiens suck right now. And leading in the polls in the next Quebec provincial election is the Parti Québécois. Part of their platform, a third independence referendum. You might see where I'm going with this, but if Alberta wins a Stanley Cup right before the third independence referendum, you can kiss Quebec goodbye.
Oh, I love that. There's nothing I dream more of Quebec, like, achieving its goal of separation, you know?
Well, this podcast is screwed.
not in a I actually wanted to, like, aren't you like, don't you ever think of, like, what, like, an apocalyptic world would look like if you lived in it? I'm not saying that's what will happen. I'm just saying, like,
Wait, we just
imagine.
Thing of Apocalypse, we just watched Civil War.
Oh, we can get to that.
Oh my god! I fucking hate that movie! Holy shit! Okay, we'll get to that.
This is semi-related
Okay, I
because
haven't
Spencer and I were
watched it.
thinking where it's like, what if we made a Civil War movie for Canada? Like, what would the plot be? Well, we'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah.
But keep going on Quebec separating.
I think it'll just be extremely interesting to see, like, all of a sudden, the destruction of, like, all the relationships between people in Ottawa and Quebec, for example, or, like, that border, and, like, people who, like, genuinely live in Ontario and work in Quebec and vice versa and stuff, all of a sudden have to, like, show passports and shit, and, like, go through a whole checkpoint, and, like, economically, what it would look, I mean, it's already kind of fucked in Quebec, right? But, like, what would it look like economically also on top of that? Like, I feel like Canada, the Union we would suffer a little bit, but we would be okay for the main part. But it's just interesting to see what Quebec would be like.
Well, there's a few interesting things. The most likely outcome if Quebec actually got independence is they would probably have to negotiate an EU-style free movement zone.
Okay.
There's also the issue of, while Quebec would probably suffer, they sort of hold the Maritimes hostage because most freight moves along rail into Quebec and then into the
so they could
Or to
use,
St.
like...
Lawrence.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But apocalyptic would be a good word for it because I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the second referendum, the Chrétien government's plan, if the Quebecers voted yes, was to just pretend the referendum never happened and restore order by force.
Yo!
And the Parizeau government's plan, if they voted yes, was to just unilaterally secede immediately.
Wow, they're actually insane out there. I didn't know it was
The
like...
criteria was the Canadian government, the federal government. So the federal government was going to by force.
The federal government was going to invade Quebec. Quebec was going to declare independence.
Oh, that would have been sick. Now that's a civil war we got it right. Like I feel like that's the premise right there. You know, like
okay. The thing is, we were talking about that would be a good movie based on real history.
Yeah.
Sort of like Alex Garland's Civil War is not.
Yeah.
A Canadian version of Alex Garland's Civil War would be something else entirely. So, Nana, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Spencer and I saw it.
Is it worth watching?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Trey. I actually, when I was telling everyone about this movie, it reminded me of something you said to me, where like you were kind of listening to some music in the background, and I listened to like very lyrical, very dense music and all of that. And I was asking what like why you kind of listen to what you listen to, and you were like, Spenny, I don't think you understand. You listen to music, I hear music.
Yeah.
And this was a movie for like not for people that watch movies, but for people that see movies.
Yes, people who perceive motion pictures.
This thing's want to see action and guns. And
the movie looks good, and if you don't pay too much attention, like there's a civil war going on, which is a bold political statement. So clearly it's got its political stuff, right? And like it's impressive. It kind of has like little moments here and there that are kind of put together. So if you're just like seeing the movie, if you're chatting with some friends, it's on in the background, you probably look at this movie and be like, this is actually really cool. Like, this is a good movie.
Yeah, it's well shot, but that's because Alex Garland is a good director.
Great director. Incredible.
But he wrote and directed this.
So this is
which
his singular vision.
Because this is like, this is a singular vision. This is
an unrestrained mind.
I love running gun movies. Like, I just love action movies.
Yeah.
Would this be a good action
No. Here's the thing.
No.
Okay. So here's the plot of the movie, right? So in the lore of the movie, the president does something tyrannical, becomes a fascist dictator.
He never explains it. Just like
it doesn't exactly say what he did, but I think there's like they released lore in the movie's marketing that's like he disbanded the FBI or something.
No, there was a little hint towards something in the speech at the beginning, but you could tell it really made an impact.
But, like there's some stupid.
The speech at the beginning was just an update.
Yeah, no. The speech in the beginning was just literally an update on the war. It had nothing to do with what caused it.
We have slaughtered 20 million Americans. Our biggest victory yet.
So
in history is the best victory.
So the South secedes, Texas and California secede and unite.
That made no sense.
Okay, but here's the thing. You could write Texas and California teaming up sensibly.
Absolutely.
Because they have a history of being independent countries.
Okay.
They could leave, ally, work together to fight the feds.
And leave,
that is not what happens in the movie. In the movie, they secede and form a union.
Actually, I think, like, I can see the president doing something that could equally piss off
California and Texas.
Yes. And, like, force them to, like,
ally together
into a second Republic of California and a second Republic of Texas.
Yeah.
Not into the Western forces, which is like the U.S., but the flag has only 2 stars.
Yeah.
Also,
I love the. Have you guys seen Fallout show?
No.
Like a slight tangent, but also like the way they have flags to represent different like vaults is like the U.S., but like a different number of like stars. Why do they do that? Like,
there actually is a reason for that.
Okay.
I'm a big Fallout fan, but I talk about that.
Okay, I'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Okay, so the Texas and California unite and start fighting the federal government. The South also secedes, but it's not clear if they're fighting the federal government or they're just around.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are
also there's
references.
There's references to modern political movements. Like there's very clearly like Boogaloo Boys, like the Hawaiian shirt wearing libertarians. Yeah, right.
So is the South like literally the South except Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. They call it the Florida Alliance in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which really it would be called the Confederate States of America. But the thing is, like, this movie goes to great pains to avoid making any political statement. So, if they had called it the Confederate States, that would be taking a position on something, which they refuse to do in the movie.
But it's a movie about the Civil War.
No. The movie is not about the Civil War. The movie is about how journalists are, like, cool.
Yeah. So it's literally just like a masturbatory film for journalists.
Is this the newsroom again?
Yeah, it's like the newsroom.
Okay.
The plot of the movie is a group of journalists in New York, which is a federal territory, aligned with the like Nazi president or whatever. Right.
Cool.
They have a plan. The Union is losing the war. The Texas and California are kicking everyone's ass. They're like 30 miles from DC. It's like World War II, April 30th, right?
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah, like it's over.
Yeah.
The war is done. But
over.
they need to get to DC as fast as possible so they can get the president's statement on the war.
The president who is not existing.
That's their big cover story. They're not like, we need something amazing that will go on the front page.
Okay, I have to interject here and say
we'll win it for Reuters.
No, it's literally like the newsroom. Yeah. In the newsroom, the central drama in the newsroom is that they scoop other news sources.
Yeah.
That's sort of the plot of this movie. Is like we need to get it for Reuters instead of the New York Times.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I have to
Reuters is a Canadian company, so I'm a really big fan.
Actually, this might be wrong.
Canada does.
Canada.
Okay, Shrek.
I see the.
Shrek, you've seen movies where they throw a bone to the Canadian audience.
Of course, I like
in Canada, and everyone's like, yeah, it's Canada. That's where I live.
Yeah,
right. They do that in this movie.
That line,
they do that in this movie. They go to a gas station and they're like, "Can I get?" They're like, "Can we get gas? We have $300." And they're like, $300. They'll get you a sandwich. You want ham or turkey? She's like, "I got 300 Canadian." He's like, "Oh." I think it would have been funny to be like, "That'll get you half a sandwich."
It damn near got applause in my theater. Love that. Like,
No,
it's like
we watched-
that's us in there.
we watched. What we watched was actually a Mexican cam rip. So the theater was reacting to different moments than yours probably was.
Incredible. I love
we
that.
were
Our
watching
theater
the movie
loved
and
it.
had a laugh track.
Yeah, our theater. I feel like one thing underappreciated element of this movie is that it kind of shows Americans what America does to other countries a lot. So like the Mexican theater thought this movie was hilarious.
Oh, I love that. So when I watched this movie the first time,
time.
No, sorry.
Man had to
I've only
double
seen
dip.
it. I've only seen it one time.
Okay.
Well, like when I watched it, I went into it like, I saw the trailer. I was like, this is gonna be dumb, but you know, sometimes trailers are dumb.
Yeah.
Let me go in with an open mind. Alex Garland, he's made some great shit. So I
He
went
made
into
Ex
it.
Machina. He made.
Ex Machina.
Oh, shoot, that's a
I
big
fucking love
Annihilation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, he's like a good director, and the movie is visually very good.
Incredibly-
Like the battle scenes are well shot, and like it looks nice.
So
Yeah.
I should
But
watch
the
scenes.
story is really
Yeah, also like
fast.
the tempo is broadly speaking like pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to like. It's just nothing means anything.
Like you didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when I finished watching it, like I thought, okay, you know what, Alex Garland is a brilliant guy. You know, I'm gonna start like looking for answers to these questions I have. You know, so like the first thing I was like, okay, obviously these journalists are bad people. Like we're not meant to like them at all. And then I was like, you know, maybe like it's not really about like America in the Civil War. Maybe he's just like putting a Civil War set in America. Okay. But like I'm trying to shoot him like all these kind of
There's
things.
really what it comes down to it. The only message of this movie is journalists are good. Please don't have a civil war in the United States.
No, okay, no. Here's the thing, though, is they make the people who secede for the Civil War win,
Yeah.
and they kill the president. So it makes the Civil War look awesome.
There was like a philosopher in the 20th century who famously said you can't make an anti-war movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, this is an anti-Civil War movie that fails and becomes pro-Civil War, because the last 30 minutes of this movie are like this epic action sequence where the Californians and Texans kick down the door of the White House, go room by room, execute the Secret Service, gunfight with the vice president, then they just get the president, drag him out from the Oval Office, and just kill him like a dog. And it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah. And the whole time
This was like a recruitment ad for the Texan National Guard.
the entire movie is shot like I listened to a podcast where he's like, everything I said, every like benefit of the doubt I gave him, he was like, no, you're wrong. Actually, no, I meant that like it actually is meant to be in the U.S. No, they are the Western forces. I thought about that like that. If this one thing that he said that actually made me realize this guy might be truly a dumbass. He said, if you actually want to stop a civil war, the best thing you can do is to vote in elections.
So true. So
And I was
fucking
like,
true.
and I was like, what the fuck?
Okay, so
man?
the plot of the movie is these 4 journalists, they get in a car, they drive from New York to DC, and then they just kind of drive through set pieces of the Civil War. So basically going battle to battle, they like link up with some libertarians who fight the US Army and win, and then they sort of like go down, they
They're
find
also, bear in mind, they're photographing this entire thing on like film cameras the whole time. That's the whole thing.
One little stylistic detail that I did actually kind of enjoy was they would take pictures and it would show the little snapshots, and like that was something that it's a
well
little
directed.
Yeah,
it's the exact type of thing that I would hate, but I just really liked it. And when someone can take something that I hate and turn it into something that I thoroughly enjoy, like, that's awesome.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Did the movie So the president was evil, right? Is that
Yes, the president is plainly shown as evil.
So is this a movie which is supposed to like encourage when Trump wins the Democrats like fight back or
No,
something?
because Garland in his press releases are like, don't have. He's like, the point of this movie is that you shouldn't do this.
and it winks, right? He winks, right?
And no, he said it several times, and he's like, no, actually, like Democrats have to start, like,
Organizing?
Reaching across the aisle. No, reaching across the aisle. It's like it's like Obama shit. Yeah.
It's the ultimate
choreography,
centrist stuff where everyone's just like, oh, if all the people just worked, like, if the capitalists and the workers all work together, we can make so much progress.
You need a great man to do a great speech.
A lot of Mussolini speech bubbles below this movie. But like, so the press like get to DC, then they like link up with like California and Texas. They're like at a military camp. Also, this is the only time the Air Force is shown.
Yeah.
They do like a loop-de-loop over the base.
It's
where were all these F-35s before? But like,
you're saying the plot, and I know you're kind of jumping to the end because nothing fucking happens, but I do want to say, they say like, oh, we need to interview the president, and like the 4 journalists are sitting in the van, and then like they've already driven to like 3 places, and then they start coming up with questions that they would ask, and all of them they're just like, that question sucks, and they come up with like one good question, and the guy that comes up with that question dies. So they're going to the president with nothing. They have no plan. They have nothing.
The plan is to like, also they're not like interviewers, they're photojournalists.
Yeah.
So their plan is to like take a picture of the president.
The one guy I think is like, well, I don't know, like, like an actual
he's supposed to be
writer.
a regular journalist.
Yeah.
But everyone else is a photographer.
These journalists don't understand there's no civil war, right? Like, why would the president?
No, they don't though, because every single scene where they link up with either army, and let me be very clear, everyone hates journalists in real life.
Yes.
Like everyone who's not sort of like a centrist liberal thinks journalists are like propagandists of some kind. They think that like they are bought and sold for
CBC. We love the CBC.
Class traders, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone hates them. Libertarians hate journalists. Fascists hate journalists. Communists don't like journalists either, right? Yeah. But every time they link up with one of the factions of the Civil War, they're like, what the hell are you doing on this battlefield? We're fighting. They're like, we're journalists. I'm like, oh, that's chill.
Welcome in.
Yeah, like
here, hold my shoulder. Let me walk you.
Okay, the one that drove me the most insane was
get this, bro.
Like literally, it's
like if they actually rolled up to like the Boogaloo Boys and they're like, we're the press, they're done.
That's what sucks about this movie is like how much actual material you have like to make something like. To make an actually good movie, like the U.S. has literally all of these factions, and it's a place where you can be someone who's rich enough to actually build your own small army and shit, and there's the same place where like people can buy army uniforms and they just be like regular people who are just like fucking whatchamacallit.
So many people in the army in the U.S. Like veterans. Yeah.
And like there's actually a sequence in there that of someone who's dressed like that, but turns out they're not as friendly as the other Western forces.
They basically come across like a racist who's just killing civilians and dumping them in a mass grave.
Yeah,
but he's dressed like a Texan soldier, sort of.
Okay.
Another great opportunity to be like. Like they kind of have this like nationalist kind of like conversation. Where are you from? Or sorry, where in America are you from? Kind of thing. Yeah. And it's a great way to be like, you're from Florida. Wait, no, you're from Florida. You're from the like these liberal states, whatever.
American.
Like, but yeah, like it's literally just a boring old. I'm a racist. You know.
Yeah,
like,
he's not it's not clear if this guy is a Texan, a Californian, a Southerner, a federal, or whatever, but he asks them where they're from, and they name states that are like in these different factions, and he's like, chill, whatever, don't care. And then a guy's like, I'm from Hong Kong, and he's like,
No, my favorite scene by far,
which is like crazy because that could be a scene where it's like, oh, here's a guy who should be like, oh, you're a white American, so I like you. Yeah. But if you're from the wrong faction, he'll kill you. But he doesn't do that.
That would have made it 10 times more interesting.
He reaches across the aisle and like he knows that all Americans are Americans. You know?
Where in real life, like a red state psycho. If you were like, I'm from California,
you. I'd be saying fucking Texas. Texas was in the Western
Forces. The scene that pissed me off by far the most, because I know what it was trying to do, and it just like fell so flat, had to be the sniper scene.
Oh my god, the sniper.
And in the sniper scene, it's like they're driving along and like a bullet hits their car, so they like all go and hide and whatever. And then they see this sniper that's lying down in the grass, aiming at the building where the bullets came from, right? So what do these fucking journalists do? They run over to the sniper and then start trying to interview him.
To the credit of the writers, the sniper's like, dude, I'm gonna snipe.
I actually kind of like that scene.
Yeah, it was like, dude, can you fuck off? Like, they have this thing where it's just like, which side are you fighting for? And he's just like, I'm just here to kill that guy. And it's like, why are you killing him? And it's like, because he's here to kill me. And I know they're trying to do just like, you're not fighting for the sergeant, you're fighting for the brother in the foxhole with you, but it's like, you're alone and he's alone. Just
no,
like, you guys can fuck off. There's a spotter, but it's like, you guys could have just fucked off and not done this. Like, you're clearly here for a reason.
Yeah, that's it's like a Stalingrad style sniper duel, but in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Why are you guys even fighting? I don't know.
Yeah, literally. That's what it felt like. It was like, who are you fighting for? And it's like, dog, I'm just out here.
You wrote a YouTube video?
Yeah, for the love of the game.
The one where I think it was Popeyes versus...
the Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A.
There's Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A. The's also... Have you seen the video where it's like the Taco Bell and McDonald's fight?
No.
Okay,
so there's two different videos. The Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A is a skit.
Yeah,
is that the one you're talking about?
No, the one where it's like where they had like an
it's
interview.
like RCD World or something.
RDC World.
RDC World, yeah.
Oh, true.
And they had like an interview, and it was like two rival fast food companies just having like a fight, just constantly fighting each other.
Yeah.
And it's like a third generation fight at this point.
True.
Oh, this was Therapy Gecko, yeah.
Yeah, and they asked the guy like, "Why are you even fighting?"
He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. No, yeah, you're talking about the one where it's Taco Bell versus McDonald's.
Yeah, okay.
And the Taco Bell guy was like, my manager's cool and they don't fuck with my manager, so it's on site if I see McDonald's. And the Therapy Gecko's like, so like,
why
do you know why you're doing this fighting? He's like, I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like the sniper scene felt like that, where there's like a multiple generation warfare, except it started like a couple days ago. And it's like, how are you in like this intergenerational like war where no one knows what they're fighting for anymore when you're the ones that started fighting?
After 4 days.
Like, yeah.
But anyways, eventually they get to DC. There's this epic action sequence where it's unclear if the point of this movie is don't kill the president or kill the president.
Okay.
Because it's like, it seems like at this point it's sort of an ad where it's like, if you join the Texas National Guard, you will get to kill Joe Biden.
This was to be Trump.
Well, I mean,
you can see whoever you want to see.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's an ad for the California National Guard. You will get to kill Trump, and the Texas National Guard, you get to kill Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah, exactly.
So,
put your guy out there.
Yeah. So they find the president. At this point, like half the journalists have died in this battle, basically.
Yeah.
And they get to the president. The Texans and the Californians drag the president out from behind the desk, and they're about to shoot him. And then the journalist is like, wait. Your statement, Mr. President.
No.
And he's like, don't kill me! And he's like, that'll do. And then they just kill the president.
They get the most lame fucking statement from the president. Like, you couldn't even think of something where it's like the president gives some like good last final
That's the
words.
point, though.
It's just like, interview from the president, quote from the president.
It's like funny. It's a funny scene.
So how much does Aaron Garland, you said?
Alex Garland?
How much does Alex Garland hate Reuters? Like, what did Reuters do to him?
Yeah, so there's some readings of this movie where it's like, this is so cartoonishly stupid that it has to be on purpose. But Alex Garland's like interviews are like definitely
real,
unironic.
Yeah. Then, wow, I haven't done a 180 on someone like this before.
But Spencer and I watching it, we're like, how would we do this movie for Canada? And it was like,
fuck, we're finally starting the cold open.
There was like, okay, obviously Western forces are Alberta plus Quebec. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. The journalists are going from Toronto, which is under Ottawa's control, to Ottawa to interview the Prime Minister.
And they're coming from Quebec. Okay, yeah.
And it's like,
Okay.
it's like a 5-hour drive, isn't it? How long is
6
that?
hours.
6 hours? Yeah, 6-hour drive. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's about the same length.
Yeah.
Toronto's
You can go through like Kingston.
Nappy, Brockville.
Something would happen in Kingston
For sure. Like, it would be like... Okay.
I feel like Trenton would be like that downed helicopter
Trenton's
scene.
a base, right?
Yeah, like that would be where they like see the downed helicopter and they'd be like, oh, this place is a base. Actually, think of that scene. Literally no purpose to it. Spare to be like, something might happen later in the movie.
I think it's to say this is where the Air Force is.
Yeah,
That's why it's not flying around.
No, but it's at a J.C. Penney, and it's just like a regular helicopter.
What?
Yeah.
But did it look good?
Trenton would be where a helicopter is. And there would be like some pops going off in the distance or something.
There's a helicopter crash in front of a Canadian Tire in Trenton.
Yeah.
Then they go to Kingston. It's the town where nothing is happening.
Is this chill?
There's an en route where there's like the gas station.
Yeah. It would be the private en route.
Yeah. The Northumberland en route. Or Newcastle en route.
Yeah. And that happens pretty early too, right?
Yeah.
How much money do you have? 300.
300 Canadian.
American.
I have 300 American.
I think like for some reason I feel like the journalists wouldn't be able to go through Kingston, so they would have to go around.
Oh, Peterborough or something?
Yeah,
Peterborough's
but even
too far south or west.
I feel like they would go into Kingston and there would be like fighting going on. So yeah, they'd be like detoured around, and that's where like Pink Sunglasses guy would be. Like
Pink Sunglasses is like the racist guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I just remember.
I feel like that's where that would happen.
I can see it happen like a Wolf Island somehow.
Yeah.
Water.
Like,
Wolf Island.
Like, nah,
they take
that
the
happens.
ferry.
They have to do like a naval detour.
it would be like Kingston guys that are like still operating the drug trade for the area, and they'd just be like, fuck it.
No, I would just go into YGK Thrift and recreate
The scene with the racist.
Scene. Exactly.
The scene with the racist would go like this. It'd be like, oh, we're Canadians. What kind of Canadians are you?
Yeah.
I'm from Quebec. That's okay. I'm from Ontario. That's great. I'm from Alberta. That's great. Where are you from? North Carolina.
That's a good one.
They just kill a guy for being American.
Like, even that makes more, like, that's more creative than, like, what Alex Garland fucking gave us. And it plays to, like, actual, like, deep-seated American hatred within Canadians. Like,
You're forgetting about the deep-seated Hong Kong.
that was the fact that he killed him for being Chinese was kind of realistic because American right-wingers do hate China.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay, I can kind of see that with Hong Kong being like an accent, like, oh, it's Chinese.
Yeah. Anyways,
There's layers.
There's layers to this shit.
Oh man.
But yeah, our review of Civil War is 2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs. Oh right. 2 thumbs down.
Speaking of
Excellent transitions. Oh my god. The segues are
Holy
incredible.
fuck. Okay, let me. I have to jot this time down because our 33-minute cold intro is.
I'm gonna.
This isn't even a cold open. This is just our review of Civil War.
Yeah.
It's a segment.
Make sure to Patreon.
Fuck my.
I'm gonna refer to this cold open all the entire episode. Just make sure you keep it.
All right, so.
First season.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, season 2 of Theory Night in Canada. And we're gonna start strong, which is actually starting incredibly weak with Budget 2024. I think Bennett said that he just read a news report on it because it was just gonna be like liberal drivel.
Yeah, but also like the news report I read on it was like a representative samples of the nation's 4-year-olds.
Yeah,
because it was like
Okay.
a poll where it's like, what do you think of the budget? 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up, Shrug?
No,
2 thumbs down?
They gave a shrug,
shrug
2
is-
thumbs down, and 2 thumbs up. So okay, here's the thing: is like
This was the actual format of the poll.
Are we just too TikTok brain to like give numbers or things now?
yeah.
Just emojis.
So okay, there's something that they kind of admit with this though, is it's like they're not asking people about what the budget says or anything. They have to give the most vague vibes because no one has read the budget. I'm the budget reading guy, and I haven't even read the whole fucking budget. I've read like 4 chapters of it, but like, Jesus Christ, dog, this shit like was lame. Okay, overall, it was like a good chunk of it was just relaying the same policies that Trudeau has always done. And then generally it's just like liberal / neoliberal, aka like conservative policy, stuff like that. It's just everything Trudeau says is in the budget. Everything Poilievre says is also in the budget somehow.
So I'm actually more optimistic.
43% of people gave a shrug, which is these people are honest and know that they haven't read the budget. 40% gave 2 thumbs down, which means they hate Trudeau and have not read the budget.
Which, by the way, which correlates roughly with 40% of people would vote Poilievre if the election were held today.
Yeah.
True.
And 17% gave 2 thumbs up, which means they haven't read the budget, but they think it's a good idea that we have some sort of budget going.
Or they like
They're
Trudeau.
liberal.
Yeah.
Another thing that was painful about the budget is the sentence structure is ass. Like, there's just partial sentences
No one's gonna
everywhere. Yeah, like, no one's... it was actually, like, probably grade 4 level. Like, it was giving me an aneurysm to read, because I'd sit there and I'd be halfway through a sentence and there would just be like a period, and then the sentence would continue again after the period.
Oh wow.
It was not like an abbreviation.
Yeah, like it just sucked.
Okay.
I reread shit because I was like, I have to be bugging. I was still trying to do like an open reading at that point until my like computer bricked and like, you know, such is life.
It's encouraging.
Just overall good points was like, I love that Canada has avoided the recession that everyone predicted, but we've already covered that.
We have still avoided
we've avoided the recession by getting like 0.001% growth every other quarter.
Yeah, basically, yes.
Let's go.
We're entirely held up by immigration and the car theft market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really booming like that? Canada's car theft market?
Oh, it's huge.
My car
Yeah.
got stolen.
No.
My car got stolen.
How recently?
Like, this was a couple months ago, but then when it was stolen, I got it back within 12 hours, which is great.
That's awesome.
We took it to the.
But think about this: the GDP from the car theft, like $12,000 transferred to the guy, then
Yeah.
they recover it, give it back to him, $12,000 transferred back.
Yeah.
Oh,
You involve like,
that is a lot of money.
you involve policing
but the
things,
story
tracking
continues.
services, that's money going
No,
somewhere.
but it's sort of continued. I mean, you knew this. The car got stolen.
Yeah.
We got it back within like 15 hours, whatever. It was awesome. Then I took it to the mechanic shop just to make sure everything was fine. I was supposed to get the car in 4 weeks, which sucks. But 3 weeks in, I got an email from the mechanic saying someone climbed the fence and destroyed all the cars in the lot.
Yo, wait, did they catch the guy who stole the car the first time, or they just got the car back?
They just got. Well, I don't know. There was a suit.
He came back to smack. He said, if I'm not driving it, no one is driving it.
I still find piece of glass in the car.
Oh, wow. It reminds me of that story of the elephant who killed someone and then came back to the funeral and the trash on their car, the casket. God.
Well, elephants, here's another good fact about that is that elephants do have like burial grounds that they
Yeah,
know
they have
and all
funerals
that.
and
So it did that like
It
not
knew what
only
it was
deliberately, it
doing.
knew it was a burial
Oh.
ground too. Like
That's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I have much more. I mean, I already respected the elephant. When I saw that story, I was like, nah, that person did something, and I'm on the elephant's side.
yeah. If you have an elephant killing you and shitting on your grave, like, I'm sorry, man. I believe the elephant.
Yeah.
Like, every time, 100%. All right, I'll give like the fastest rundown of the budget possible. It's average. It's just general liberal conservative policy where they're like, oh, this shit'll be good for the middle class or whatever. Investments will be good and will become more productive for investors. They'll build more houses for the housing crisis. I want to hate on this point because the UK has improved their like person to housing ratio and they're also in a housing crisis. It's just inequality, so that won't do anything. They say they want rent payments to go to ownership, so they said it'll help your credit score now.
Oh yeah, rent will now affect your credit score, which is crazy because it's supposed to help people struggling. But if you're struggling, you're not making rent on time, so your credit score is getting worse under this new program.
Yeah.
We need social credit. I think that's the only issue. And they say that housing will be balanced with immigration. Cool.
Well, the logic is that if you're going to make any payment, it's probably going to be rent, so it'll help your credit score. But you can easily go the other way.
Yeah.
And also the credit score
rent
system
is a lot
is
of
super
money.
draconian.
Yeah.
Like, it goes down a lot faster than it goes up.
And, like, rent is a lot of money, so that's a big payment to miss. So, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with this rent credit score issue.
They say in, like, making things better for people, they say that, like, healthcare's struggling, so we're going to use immigration to help with healthcare shortages.
Alberta desperately wants it.
Yeah, which I have a feeling that we could just, like, raise pay and have better conditions, and it would probably be much better and actually solve the problem.
But that would be the provinces. The provinces are not doing it.
But this, I guess it'll technically do something. Better pensions and shit. Making life more affordable. Was like increasing competition for grocery and telecom. Cool.
They never explained.
But so, like, how?
Yeah, that was my first.
So, like, are they gonna make a government grocery store?
No, they're gonna allow foreign grocery stores. They're gonna allow one foreign grocery store chain, was what I read.
So the Minister of Innovation has been flying around the world trying to find a grocery store company to come to Canada. We haven't found it. He hasn't found one yet, but he's looking.
Wow.
Do you want to go to a country that's on the verge of economic collapse and invest billions?
Oh man.
Holy shit. Okay, that's great too, because this is the ultimate Ben, you remember when you were telling us all about the War of 1812 when they sent one guy to keep the peace and like everything was going wrong, but if it went wrong, he would get fired.
Yes.
So he kept telling him, this guy's just going around the world just being like, "Oh yeah, still looking."
Yeah, the War of 1812.
Don't fire me, guys.
In the lead up to the War of 1812, the story was the British ambassador is just some like fancy lad, son of a nobleman, that they sent to DC, and then the American government kept complaining about stuff to him. He's like, "I'll get that right to London," and then he would just never send it. He would just keep going to parties and being like, "Yeah, I told the government they're definitely gonna look into this."
Oh, is that actually how it started? Because
I mean, it was more complex than that, but basically, up until the day the war was declared, he was just not doing his job.
This guy's just going all around the world, and he's like, I'm looking at the grocery chains.
Yeah,
haven't found the one yet, guys.
No, that's wild. He's literally going around the world, walking into a grocery store, walking around. What is the technology that other grocery stores have that we?
So I guess the idea here is that they'll bring in competition, but like, how?
Yeah, like.
Are they doing like some sort of incentive program to get grocery stores to invest here? Because there have been non-Canadian chains who have tried to invest in Canada and failed and had to withdraw, like Target.
Oh yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge investment and a risky one in a country that has like basically legal monopolies everywhere.
Here's a great headline from Toronto Star. Minister Champagne says he secretly visited a foreign grocer that's considering move to Canada. Yeah. We analyze his recent trips to find out which chain.
Incredible.
Jesus Christ.
No notes, man.
Alright, so, okay, they also said they want,
hoping for something Chinese. We need more Asian grocery stores.
That is actually what would win, but they would never do that.
Chinese grocery stores are popping up all over the place, but they're just so much better.
But TNT and shit, that's like Galen Weston.
Yeah.
It is.
I know, that was... broke my heart. It was worse than when I found out wrestling was fake. But like, wrestling.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Sure, found out live that it's fake right now.
I think like there's nothing that would convince anyone here to go to a new grocery store. Like
you go to the grocery store that's closest to your house.
It's an Asian grocery store, which is usually cheaper stuff. You imagine hearing, there's a new European grocery store. I would stay far away from that because I feel like going anywhere near that would decrease my credit score by a lot. And so like,
you think the fact that it's foreign make people think it's too expensive?
Yes. That's true. But if it's Chinese, it's like because we already have a lot of Chinese.
It's sort of like a psychological thing.
Exactly. We already have a lot of Asian places here that are very inexpensive, and so people are more likely to go that. But they would never choose an Asian grocery store. Unless it was Galen Weston owned.
Yeah.
He's my man.
Okay, so here's the thing though. All this budget, even if it was like a fantastic budget, it seemed like the Liberals were putting a lot of like their eggs in this basket. So like the budget will save our polling numbers.
I do want to talk about some of the good things that came out of the budget, or at least moderately positive.
Let me finish speedrunning this shit. I promise I'll go fast. They promised like agrarian reforms, but make it BIPOC.
So Maoism.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're getting Maoism in Canada.
So they said growth will be more productive, and that will mean better and higher paying jobs. Smiley face. They also have like a lot of foreign direct investment fetishists on this. Safe and healthy communities. What was it? Protect more land with goals from 25 to 30% of Canada, but like. Canada's 99% empty, so I have a feeling like that's not too hard. There was the Indigenous chapter, and I was just like, okay.
Trudeau's pretty good on that
Trudeau
stuff.
can take that.
Yeah, he can handle it.
Yeah. he seems to do all right with that, so it's like...
I mean, the federal government invests a lot, but there's not much they can actually do.
Well, they
like, okay, what is my ass gonna say that's better than what Trudeau is gonna do? Fucking nothing, so I was just like, I'll leave that to him.
Yeah.
Protecting Canadians and democracy. I just highlighted this because I've just finished reading
Shock Doctrine.
Shock Doctrine, and I was like, protecting democracy. We love that.
Well, that's because of foreign interference.
And there's just a fuck ton of money for Ukraine, and it says there's a chapter called Using Russian Assets to Rebuild Ukraine. And I was kind of surprised that that's like a chapter title that no one mentioned.
So I mean, we've talked about this before, but the Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister is like very obsessed with the Ukrainian-Russian war.
Okay, yeah.
But also that makes sense because Ukrainians are like an ethnic voting bloc in Canada, a huge one,
and they're usually vote conservative.
Yeah.
So this is like a wedge issue.
I see. Okay.
They also had like an LGBT section, but if you read it and you're trying to freak out a little bit, it sounds like they're actively trying to convert different like countries and continents to gayness. Just with the way it's in there, I don't know how to explain it.
You're just talking about foreign aid, basically, for
pretty much, yeah. They were just like, but it was just like $1 million for gay Africa, and I was like, whoa.
So we'll call it Tariq Nasheed.
Do you have any family members who are religious? Who are like older?
Not really, to be honest.
Is this?
I have a few, and like. This news like this is just fodder for.
Well, they're from they live in West Africa, right?
Yeah. Some of them do. Some of them are actually like. Some of them are actually Canadian. God. Like some of them were born here, to Ghanaian parents, but like are fully Canadian. But you just get it's like fodder for like WhatsApp messages saying. They're controlling us. This is how they do it. The World Economic Forum is part of it. Like, and it's always like news like this. So like that's like, if you hear gay people, we're not gonna give you as much money as we usually do, and that's all they need.
ESG controversies. I think we've covered ESG controversies on this podcast before, where they get completely blown out of proportion.
Yeah. They don't mean much.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I love about like conspiracies is they're always just like spitting some wild shit, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's just another guy ranting, and they're like, oh, actually the WEF, and I'm like, oh, I believe you now.
Make no mistake, we're not pro WEF.
Yeah, I don't think this is happening, but I do believe they're involved.
So there are some things that I want to know which are positive-ish on the budget. The measliest of step towards universal pharmacare has come out.
Okay.
Where they will, I believe it was cover almost all or most of all insulin, diabetes medicines, and contraceptives, but just those two and nothing else.
That covers a lot of medical consumption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is federal?
Yep. The federal government's going to be covering it.
Wait.
So does this include like condoms?
Wait.
I don't know actually. I think it's birth control.
Yo.
So is it only like is it
What the
prescription medication or over the counter contraception?
I don't know. I didn't go that far into it. I
I
know
would
like
have to assume it's going to be birth control pills, implants, things like that. The government is not going to be giving out free condoms than they already are.
You go to Service Canada and like, here you go, buddy.
Actually, condoms are like $16 each at this point.
Waiting for 16 hours in the line at Service Ontario.
Can I get a condom for 2, please?
Yeah. Waiting 16 hours in the Staples Service Ontario.
Vending machine.
Bro, every time I go to Shoppers and it's like I buy some condoms and I put them on like the self-checkout thing, trying to like hide them because that's just what you do. And every single time I look at the cost and I'm like, but how expensive is a kid really?
Okay, so
if you are desperate for condoms, go to any sexual health clinic and they will give them to you for free.
That is true.
God bless.
But you have to go to the sexual health.
Yeah,
you can't hide it.
You have to walk in as the guy who only came here for condoms. I'm not here for any sex and none of that. I don't have any disease, presumably.
Fuck, I hope so.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? As I said before, the Liberals seem to have actually put their eggs in this basket that the budget would save them.
So I want to go over a few more before you get into that.
Okay.
So
but it doesn't. My point is, it doesn't matter what the other points are.
You're fucked.
Well, the big one that I keep seeing in my circles everywhere, it's just probably the people I'm around, but is the capital gains.
All right, I got a section on that. Let's go.
Wait, you have one on that before you go?
So
that's a segue, I guess.
This was actually the last point, and I left it around because I figured I might break it off into something else. And this was the last kind of big section on tax fairness, which is a capital gains tax, which has led to like an absolute fucking meltdown.
Yeah.
Which is just your consent being manufactured. All right. So this is how this works. The capital gains tax has gone from 50 to 67%, or 66.67, whatever. Capital. It's a good question. Capital gains tax is like you have an investment. And then you make money on said investment and sell the investment.
So if you bought a house, say in the 90s, you sold it 10 years later, the money you got is going to be taxed.
But also, it's not just a house. Like if you sell your primary residence, it's not capital gains.
Yeah.
It's like an investment property.
Yeah,
right.
So so it's going from 50 to 67%. But I want to say 50% to 67% is not the tax rate, which is how this is being sold.
Yeah.
It is the amount that is it is the amount that is taxable at all, and that amount is only the gain. But even then, that's only on gains that are higher than $250,000. So this is really not that much at all unless your investment is huge. So on gains in excess of $250,000, the effective tax rate has moved up to around 8%.
Yeah.
Which is fucking nothing. And that's not the total thing. That is only above $250,000. So, and that is also again not the total value. You're still taking home pure profit on 92% of everything that you've gained. So this is has been blown out of proportion. It is a complete non-issue.
It's only an issue if you literally have millions and millions of dollars in investments or billions in investments. It doesn't really matter to most people.
But Global News was telling me that this guy was trying to sell his house.
Poor guy.
And now he can't sell his house anymore.
Here's the thing is if this guy's house has gone from $500,000 to $750,000, this has zero effect. If it has gone from $500,000 to $1.5 million, then he'll get an 8% tax rate on the higher profit that he's got, but he's still making a fuck ton of money.
And selling not his primary
but also
residence.
It's not like this guy's oh, I'm moving up, I'm climbing the property ladder from going from this house to another. This is my 5th house.
It's insane how many articles are these poor guys who have cottages are now forced to sell their houses. They have cottages. It's not an issue.
It has the capital gains tax. It's being dumped on by people who actually stand to lose some money from it, who are super rich investors or whatever. Trying to frame it as it's hurting quote mom and pop investors.
Doctors is a big one.
Which is obviously BS.
Doctors benefiting a lot.
Doctors are hurt by it because the way doctors work in Canada is each doctor is an individual corporation. So their practice are individual corporations.
That's true.
And so because of that, they can put assets into their corporation. and now their corporation has to pay extra taxes and all of these.
But you don't have to be making a lot of money for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not like these people are like going to be kicked out on the street for this or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also it's like it's being framed as hurting like the little guy or whatever.
I mean, that's like all the news I've heard on it.
Like, the other thing is that it's like the justification for this capital gains tax increase from its proponents in the Liberal Party was that it would help fix the housing market. But the only housing market it has appreciably affected is cottages.
I disagree with that though, because a lot of people, especially during COVID, right? A lot of people got cottages in like Halifax or Nova Scotia, and that's like a huge problem where now second properties are in other smaller provinces, and they're really getting.
Yeah, but cottages aren't in cities where the housing crisis is a big problem.
Well, it's hitting the rural areas really hard too. Like it's not just a city problem anymore.
Okay, yeah, because everyone's realized that they can't buy anything in a city, so they have definitely started to branch out.
Like, it's really bad everywhere in this country at this point.
But okay, my hot take was that capital gains tax should always apply to 100% of the gains, and then you just change the percentages. I don't get why it wouldn't. I don't get why it wouldn't. It just doesn't fucking why. I don't get it. There are also beyond that, there are aims for a global minimum tax of I think 15%. Was like they were just saying we support that. And also here's something that I thought Bennett might have a take on: a digital services tax for people that have companies outside of Canada that sell software to Canada, so that they can contribute to our economy. And I was just like, this.
Doesn't this already exist?
They don't. I feel like it just. Trying to treat software as a commodity is just not going well.
There's already sales tax on software in Canada.
Yeah.
You already like it. Like if you buy software online, you have to pay sales tax.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of like a common company that's big. Netflix.
Well, I feel like services. I don't know how it would work. I have no fucking clue.
I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't looked at the.
It seems to me like because there's no like production and shipping and stuff, they're trying to get more out of it, which kind of makes sense. But it's software, like it's not that.
I mean, I think it should be like. I'm not against it necessarily.
All software should be free. First
that is
of all.
True. Number one.
But there you go. Tax incentives for entrepreneurs. Someone here might like that. Green taxes, and then my last point was just cool.
The other thing which I really liked
love taxes. I love paying taxes.
The other thing I really liked was they're putting a national food program in Canada for the first time ever, finally. So that kids will now get food at schools.
Oh, right,
like nationwide. Oh.
But they put like, I think it was like 8 million into it. Which
it was some pitiful amount.
So it's like 12 kids will get
Did you guys go to school in Toronto?
I went to Brampton.
I went to like 4.
Did you guys get breakfast at school?
No.
They would just hand it out in the hallway.
True.
Yeah, at our school they had a breakfast club where they would just hand out like
you didn't have to sign up
grilled
for it.
cheeses.
If you just showed
you got hot food.
No, it was like
it was cold.
bread.
At some point it had been hot.
Right.
But basically you showed up early enough for school. Everyone at our school was given food.
Yeah. We had something similar. We got bagels and like juice boxes or something.
You got bagels and juice boxes?
We did not get any liquids. It was just bread with cheese.
There's water fountains.
Or it was your two options. I think it was bread with cheese melted on it, or it was bread with jam on it.
I know it was like really cheap in my school. Like it was like 25 cents or like 10 cents.
We did not have to pay for it. It was just automatically handed out to you.
We didn't have to pay for it.
I think 2 or 3 of the high schools I went to, there was nothing, and at one it was like there was a calf.
So listen, but you went to school in the East End.
Yeah.
That's basically like a third world country.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's so funny. That's actually so funny. The federal
the sticks.
The amount going into it is 8 million.
Let me check. Let me confirm. Before I confirm something.
That's like so little. I feel like it wouldn't even be enough for Toronto.
For one school.
Yeah.
When you factor in the fact that like everything in Canada has to go through like organized crime graphs and like friends of the politician.
Also, if you factor in that a loaf of bread costs $60 in your average Loblaws.
So it's not 8 million. Like that was just hyperbole. It's 1 billion over 5 years.
And so it's 200 million a year.
And it's to provide. The goal is every year to provide meals to 400,000 kids.
It's not bad. It's better than zero kids, I guess.
It's better than zero, but 400,000 is nowhere universal.
Yeah.
What they should do is they should give that money to me, and I will personally cook for every child in Canada.
Sort of a Santa Claus style thing.
Yeah. Every day, Nova Scotia House.
Yeah.
Anyways, as I was saying before, the Liberals seem to have been relying on this budget to save their polling numbers. They, like, everywhere I've been seeing in the news, it's like, oh, the Liberals are shocked that they're not, the gap isn't closing between them and the Conservatives after the budget dropped. And it's like, do you live in Aaron Sorkin's The West Wing?
Where everyone is reading everything.
No, here's the thing, right? This is also happening in the US, where Trump is like beating Biden in the polls in basically like every key state. I think I put like the diagram in this like in our podcast like chat.
Yeah.
Where it was like I just went state by state, looked at the latest polling, gave it to Trump or Biden depending on who's leading, and if it was less than 0.5%, I gave it to just no one. And Trump is like he's gonna win. If the election were held today, he would win. Basically.
Also knowing that he historically has outperformed polls.
So the goal right now for Liberal Party is that they need to get within 5% of the Conservatives by July, which is what, 2 months away?
Yeah.
Last time I checked, I think they're 21 points behind.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a gap of 40 to 20 right now.
Holy shit.
Okay, but also it's like
Trudeau needs to be giving like this budget should be like $1 billion towards just like getting hookers for every 20-year-old who can't get it right.
No. What
and then he'd probably get a lot of votes.
What it needs to be is the budget would only do that 5-point gap if they allocated $10 billion to just lowering the gas price by buying up a ton of gas. Because what is causing these low numbers is the fact that people are looking around, food's expensive, housing expensive, quality of life is down, gas is expensive. Same shit's happening in the United States.
Yep.
All that stuff is happening. It's not Biden's fault. It's not Trudeau's fault, really. I mean, obviously I would prefer they, nationalize all industry, kill the bankers, whatever, right? But they exist in this neoliberal superstructure that hard restrains what they can do and not do. Mm-hmm. It's not their fault personally that this is happening, but what people are going to ask themselves in November 2024 was my life better under the Trump presidency, or is it better now? Right. And for most people in the United States, the answer is it was better in 2019. Yeah. And that same thing is going to be asked here in Canada. Was my life better in 2015, or is it going to be better in 2025? Yeah. And the current trends are it was better in 2015. And unless the Liberals can solve that problem of people looking around and seeing that their life sucks, they're not closing the gap.
Yeah, well, I think as well, I think COVID was a huge turning point for this, because generally one of the features of neoliberalism is wages are effectively decreasing, but the devaluation of currency makes it look like they're staying the same. And inflation stays at around 2%.
Have you been watching Gary Stevens?
Yeah, I get all my information from Gary Stevenson. That's the plot.
Gary Stevens is an amazing. He's a guy from the UK. He's got some fantastic.
A YouTuber?
He's
got a YouTube channel. I'll send you his book. It's a banger.
Off stock trading. And he's like, this is messed up, man.
He made a bag and
but essentially under neoliberalism, it's like the rate of inflation has to stay relatively low, because that is what makes it so that it seems like shit's staying around right, but it very slowly decreases over time. But what COVID allowed is one, it was a shock that put inflation really high, and two, just did not really raise wages at all. In fact, it lowered it for a ton of people. And it's that was a strict moment where people can remember exactly before that life was distinctly better. The slow downward trend became a fast downward trend for a while at a time where there was a lockdown and people were able to fully look around and realize, oh, this ain't great. And you can't really undo that shock. Mm-hmm. Shock? Yeah. Shock?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Shock doctrine?
Shock. Uh-oh. I'm soy facing over here.
Yeah, it's
I've read 7 books since our last episode. I need to vent.
But also, it's literally living in an Aaron Sorkinite fantasy to think releasing the budget would close the gap.
Well, what choice? What they have so little they can do at this point.
Yes.
Because people just hate him.
Like they're they're checkmated basically.
Yeah.
Like there's no move they can make.
Unless like Poilievre, like I don't know, sexually assaults someone at this point.
But even then, like the Conservatives could remove Poilievre, put like a duck in in his seat.
So if like I understand that they can do anything to like radical to piss off like big companies or whatever, but what if right before any kind of election, Trudeau was like, you know what?
See ya.
Fuck Galen Weston. Fuck that guy. Like I hate him. You know, like goes on like like presents himself as someone who doesn't like this man that everyone universally like has a like. This is the guy who's responsible for my for my groceries being like twice as expensive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Will that affect?
Okay, in 2 months.
Not unless he actually gets grocery prices down. Another thing to consider is that people are leaving the Liberals for the Conservative Party, not the NDP.
Yeah.
So a leftward tack isn't necessarily going to save him either.
Yeah.
What's
pretty much.
A lot of it is based on faith and trust. Unfortunately, I don't think he has a lot of trust anymore. Right? People just don't have faith.
People are just tired of him.
So even if
people are sick of him. How long have we seen this man pop up?
You have a leader for 10 years. You have a leader for 10 years, and you've just had a leader for 10 years. Like, even if they're doing pretty good, you start looking and being like, maybe the next guy could be better. You know? It's like...
Yeah, like...
Even in the Soviet Union, they didn't have premiers after Stalin for more than like 10 to 15
years. In a world of TikTok, it's actually kind of impressive.
But I think also, like... The fact that the budget didn't change anything and them being surprised shows like the liberal tendency for just wanting like reach arounds across the aisle.
Reach around across the aisle.
Where it's like they sat there and they're like, oh, if we just like work together and maneuver things slowly, things will eventually get like better, but people will trust us for that and we'll win. But like people want housing prices down yesterday. They want food prices down yesterday. And if you want to win in like 2 months,
people do not want housing prices to go down.
Oh fuck, you're right. I blundered.
A lot of people want housing prices to go up still.
Yeah. We want property value to go up while having more units so that the per unit price is down.
There you go.
There we go. We're getting somewhere now. But it's like,
Wait, pause for a sec. Is that why, like, that's also not something you can, like, is the voting base that wants housing prices to stay or go up more than the people
Here's a messed up fact. A huge chunk of this country's housing stock is not owned by individuals, it's owned by companies, right? Investment firms. Now, these investment firms don't make money for themselves most of the time. Generally, they're supported by other larger institutions, mainly pension funds. Those pension funds are all the workers, teachers,
the Ontario pension.
Nurses, a lot of them. The Canadian, the Ontario, each provincial one. And so in order to keep the future retirement savings still there for people to use, they have to keep pricing for housing still up.
But there's also the other issue of like we also live in sort of the shadow of the baby boom, right? Where the population pyramid looks like, this is an audio medium, so this doesn't make any sense, but it looks like sort of a straight line up, then a bulge outwards, then another straight line up, right? Where like in the 40s to the 60s, a ton of people were born. And those people now own property and are sort of at the top of society. So like that, there are like way more boomers than zoomers, right? And boomers by and large on average want the housing price to go up, even if zoomers want it to go down.
It's a retirement plan.
Yeah, it's a kind of a two-sided thing where the houses owned by like major companies all plays into the pension thing. But the people that don't need that are people who are using houses as their retirement plan.
Yeah.
So
the voting block is divided into please let us live in a house that's like 20% of the electorate, 80% of the electorate, fuck them kids.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like this is like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place where everyone's complaining about housing prices, but no one actually wants them to go down.
Well, even you said like if I understand correctly, even like regular people who might want like housing prices to go down, might have their pension plans tied and need housing prices to go up in order to get Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. No, pension funds are literally a strategy to just make sure that people start backing bourgeois shit as they get older. Like that's what it is. it's like, you don't want to like actually change shit because now everything you've worked for is so tied into shit not changing.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, and there's literally nothing liberals can do about it.
Genius.
But it's also like,
give it to them.
it's not like the conservatives could do anything about it either.
No.
So what's going to happen is the liberals will lose in a massive landslide. The conservatives will have a supermajority, and then nothing will happen.
In the short term, it'll probably get like really good for like a couple of months.
Yeah.
And
wow.
It's a really messed up situation, and that's one of the reasons why immigration is also like not immigration, but temporary foreign workers and students are so high right now. Is because the old age ratio needs to be very high. Like the amount of old people to young people, there needs to be a lot more young people to work to support the old people. But because there's so many baby boomers about to retire or retiring, where our population who's working is shrinking rapidly. So they need to bring a new underclass to quickly support all these old people.
And that new underclass, which we basically treat like slaves, might cause another COVID epidemic. Because, okay, I don't know if you've heard this, but the buzz in the medical community right now is H5N1, avian flu, is jumping to humans again. Every once in a while this happens. Bird flu jumps from farm animals to humans, then it rips through a small population of agricultural laborers and then dies down. But we're getting a new wave of H5N1 jumping over, and it's happening mostly in agricultural laborers that we're bringing in to Canada and the United States, who then live in like these super cramped slave-like conditions and work with animals all day.
Wow.
So it's like a perfect storm for zoonotic virus. Again.
It's H5N1 you said?
Yeah.
Honestly, no, I'm willing to put money on nothing's gonna happen. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
You literally went through COVID.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened.
And guess what? Nothing happened.
It wasn't real.
Yeah, I had H1N1 and that shit sucked.
You did?
I want to meme on this, but I had like an obscene fever. I was sleeping for like
H1N1. I thought you said H5N1.
No, he's not a Jamaican farmling.
No, I had H1N1 and that shit was genuinely terrible. And also the reason I use 24-hour time on all of my devices now was because I slept for like, I think it was like 18 hours straight.
Oh, so you wanted to know.
And then I went out and had breakfast at 9 p.m. And I said good morning to everyone. It was really awkward and embarrassing. So I used 24-hour time to make sure that can never happen again.
Love that.
But H5N1 has a super high fatality rate in humans.
Yeah, okay, so that means that it won't be big because you need a disease to be extremely viral and not kill people immediately.
It's high relative to COVID, which is like basically nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like H5N1 is like 20 to 30%.
Okay. Yeah, that's way too high.
Yeah.
That's way too high.
That's like Black Plague level fatality.
Yeah.
They're testing the milk very regularly now, so hopefully we're okay.
But we'll see what happens. Probably nothing will, like literally probably nothing will happen because this has happened like 5 times.
Yeah.
God, I mean diseases, water is just
Speaking of water, diseases in the water, right?
Oh,
let's talk about British water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Thames, the river that goes through London, England, not the Thames, the river that goes through London, Ontario.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Do you not know this?
No.
Wait, actually? It's not the Thames?
In London, Ontario.
The river that goes through London, Ontario.
I need to check it out.
These
Is it like a little creek kind of thing?
No, it's a big river. It's a good river.
It's like
These
main river.
fuckers are actually like London, Ontario works so hard to try to get like just people who don't speak English to accidentally.
No. One of my friends, y'all know Ife, right?
Yeah.
He was once telling me when he first came to Canada, he did A-levels in China, so he was really excited to meet someone who had also did A-levels.
Yeah.
And he met someone. He's like, "Oh, I've got a friend from London here," and he got so excited.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah.
Until he found out it was London, Ontario, and then he got even more excited when he met someone who said, "Oh, I'm from Cambridge."
Oh, wow. Was it Brussels when he was like, okay, Brussels where?
Cornwall.
Paris?
Home of the Barstool Prophets, Cornwall, Ontario.
And home of Ryan Gosling.
Oh, no way.
Wow, incredible.
But
Cornwall cannot stop winning.
Unlike Cornwall, England, which is having some problems. So England, or the UK in general, was like ground 1 for neoliberalism, ground zero being Chile.
Yeah.
Right? But as a result, Britain has had sort of this decaying, self-dismantling liberal state for so long that they're much further along in this cycle of just escalating crisis than us.
Yeah.
And they, I think, are one of the only countries in the world where all waterways are privately owned. Like, there's like a Thames Corporation that is privately owned, not owned by the government. And this is true, like, for
That's
everywhere.
fucking insane. Like, even all the old head market economists are just like, some shit has to be left in common.
2 countries have privatized water.
Yeah.
One is the UK.
Yeah.
And the other is Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
So, ground zero and ground one.
The experiment worked, so they put it. Oh wow!
Yeah. So
The experiment did not work.
No,
but
failed successfully.
yeah. But first of all, these waterways are not really profitable. So these corporations aren't doing well.
What do they charge?
They're charging for water use.
Like
when you get water.
people tours and stuff.
No, like when you drink water.
When you
right?
drink water from
It's
these
from Lake Ontario.
waterways.
Oh
Yeah.
wow! Oh okay. So I guess okay.
So like let's say a town council provides water to the citizens of the town. Town council has to buy it from these corporations.
and the corporation.
Or the corporation sells to the individual.
Is the Thames that's owned by
Thames Water Company.
right?
Yeah. So anyways, but these water companies are not only like not really that profitable, but they're also completely messing up Britain's natural waterways.
How are they not profitable? They charge for shit to happen, and they have no expenses. The water is just there.
No, they have to clean the water, bro.
They don't.
Yeah, as we get into, in costs, because they're so obsessed with maintaining profits, they've allowed Britain's waterways to decay to like worse than third world country level water.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Wow.
like the water in London is so polluted that when they do rowing competitions in London through the Thames, the rowers need to have a decon shower afterwards because they'll have so many chemicals and like microbes on them at
Didn't
the
they
end.
get like E. coli last time they rode through it or something?
That's probably why they implemented the decon shower.
Wow.
Yeah, it's messed up. And now the Thames, the river in London, has gone bankrupt despite not doing anything and just sitting on this asset.
And here's the best part is what happens when they go bankrupt.
People
Nothing.
They sell it off probably to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means
Fucking
shit
nothing
because
happened.
they're trying to
So,
make money
almost
from it.
Okay, this is how you know private companies are good is when they can seize existing and nothing changes.
Well, no, because the
Like-
water's not going to be supplied, right? Because who's going to supply the water? Unless they re-nationalize
Oh, you're
it.
right.
They're
People would
literally
just
just
be able to take things from land in common for free.
They're probably just going to sell it to someone else.
Yeah, right.
Like, they're going to sell it to someone else. This new company will come in. It will get
Yeah, they'll
gutted.
get like a state loan to actually clean it up. They'll do like a quarter of the work they're supposed
and
to
then
do.
they'll pay out huge amounts of dividends with this free money they're given, collapse again, sell it off again. The water will just get worse and worse.
Oh, here's news from a few hours ago. So the shareholders have all resigned. Or sorry, the board has all resigned.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks like the Thames shareholders are not going to inject equity. So they're not going to put money into it. So it looks like it's going to actually go bankrupt.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
And it's
like okay, like Spencer said, like how did you fail? Everyone needs
here's
water.
why. Almost certainly what happens in all these cases is they bring in consultants. The consultants are like, just pay out dividends to shareholders to get more investments. To get more investors. More people invest, they pay out more and more dividends to get more investors. They're not making they're making money, but they're immediately paying it out in dividend form, which means they're not actually profitable. So they run out of money and collapse.
Yeah. Businesses being so optimized into like running their profits that they forget that they're actually supposed to make anything. Or like do anything.
So
Yeah.
Thames, this is a bit of an issue actually.
Okay.
Thames is owned by a group of pension funds.
Oh, no.
From Abu Dhabi, Australia, Britain, China, and Canada.
Yeah.
So
Probably the Ontario Teachers
Actually,
Fund.
okay, that explains why we're doing this second. It is a Canadian story.
yeah. So we kind of needed to get back. Oh yeah, it's OMERS, the Ontario Municipal.
That's my pension.
Yeah, that's.
No way.
Oh damn.
Fuck.
I guess I'm on the Thames now.
Yeah, Theory Night in Canada, we're actually putting in a bid.
Also, we should try to
buy.
buy a river in
Yeah.
England.
Yeah, we probably could.
Do you think we could buy a river and then put our faces on like signs on the river?
Yeah.
Or like just like a really polluted section. Just picture Spencer pointing at the water.
I did that.
No, there's been a plan of mine for a while. Is I want to print out like 10,000 stickers of like a picture of me pointing, saying I did that, and I just want to give them out to a ton of people and say, put this on like the gas pump you go to if it's expensive. If you see a poster that's like, oh, the world is burning, just put my sticker on that. And like, I just want eventually someone, like, I want there to be like a story that's just like, who the fuck is this guy? Like this one guy that's causing all of the ills of the world. Like, who is this?
On the street like you.
Yeah. I think that's my calling, is to take credit for everything wrong in the world. I could be like Despicable Me, you know? I could be the biggest
The
Megamind
villain.
Yeah. Well, the Megamind villain is the good guy.
He becomes a good guy. Yeah.
Oh, one thing we should have covered when we talked about capital gains tax is the CRA. The neat trick to avoid paying property taxes.
Yeah. So okay,
the infinite money glitch.
Yeah.
Step 1, get a house.
Okay.
Step 2, rent it out.
Mm-hmm.
Step 3, abscond from Canada and reject your citizenship.
Continue to collect rent.
Hopefully you have a second citizenship. Okay, so
it's be a foreign buyer of a household and rent it out, and then do not pay your taxes. And then when eventually you're found out for not paying your taxes, the CRA will go after the tenant for the taxes instead of you.
In the tax code right now, if you have a foreign landlord, and this is not a foreign landlord with a different citizenship, they have to have a foreign tax residency, right? Which is basically impossible to find out if your landlord has a foreign tax residency, which is a huge issue. Lawyers have been sounding alarm bells about on this case. It's like, how would you know to do this?
Right.
You are supposed to withhold 20 to 25% of the rent and pay it to Canada.
Okay.
Normally, the foreign buyer will just have like a property manager who does that. They collect the rent, send it off to the CRA.
Yeah.
But the tenant is legally on the hook for this. So if the landlord isn't doing that, the tenant has to pay all the missed taxes.
So technically, like the tenant, whatever the rent is, they hold 20% of that rent and give it to the CRA.
Yeah.
Wow, this is actually such like a good scam. I can't believe that's actually a really good scam.
You can just not pay taxes as a foreigner.
So I like the article, which had it said, to protect themselves, tenants could start asking for statutory declarations from their landlords attesting to their tax residency status. It's like renters should not be having to do like paperwork background checks on their landlord. Also, like, you are a tenant. You are paying the landlord.
Yeah.
You should not have to do your landlord's taxes to be a tenant.
But also, like, we live in a housing crisis.
Yeah.
If the landlord is like, no, I don't want to do
it.
Yeah, I don't want to prove that I live in Canada, they can just be like, I'm not renting to you.
Yeah.
Like, if someone asks for this residency.
Why did they not do that? Because what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, the landlord is not paying taxes. All right, we are seizing the house, and if the person living there wants, they can just take it over.
Yeah, CR should just take it.
You know, we ball. Like,
don't they do that?
The
don't
tenant
they
should have to
seize
pay
assets?
taxes, but they should get the house in return.
Yeah.
It should be like sort of like a rent to buy situation.
Exactly. It should be a rent to buy. The landlord didn't pay it, so it's like the renter gets the option to take over the remainder of the mortgage or something like that. I don't fucking know. Or if it's already paid off, they just get a house. Fuck it. You know, like, we ball.
Yeah.
Or like literally the CRA should just expropriate the property and be a temporary landlord.
Also, it's fucking you're not paying your taxes.
Yeah.
Like
normally when someone doesn't pay taxes, their stuff is taken. But I swear that's what they do anyway.
Here's an extra thing. It's like, okay, so you are a landlord, so it's like you're taking away housing, and you are getting like rent from the increase in property value as the property continues to exist. 2, you are getting rent from people paying you rent, and 3, you're not paying taxes. Like, you are purely a parasite.
Yeah.
Like, you are going out of your way to be more parasitic than a landlord.
I can't believe, like, the CRA... They really are.
And this went to court.
This went to Superior Court,
and the court said that the tenant's fucked.
Yeah, the court was like, the judge was like, this shouldn't be a law, but it is the law, so the tenant has to pay it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which means it set the precedent now that this is the way to go about it.
I can't believe that. Like, they actually said, man, we can't find the guy who's responsible for this.
No, so now there is
They know where he is.
They know where he is. Oh, that's even worse, actually. We know exactly where he is, but we just can't touch him.
Also, doesn't this mean that we're now giving foreign landlords extra incentive to start not paying taxes?
That's what we're saying. Like, absolutely.
Holy shit. Yeah, this is just a disaster.
Well,
I don't know, like... This is one of those things where you look at it and it's like, this is baked into the law somehow, and you're like, oh, we gotta patch this right now. Get the duct tape out. Like, this is bad.
Yeah.
But the fact that it went to court and then they made ruling to double down on it is insane.
Well, that ruling is only precedent until the law changes. So they can still change the law.
Last year, the tenant took the Minister of National Revenue Court, arguing that he did not know his landlord was non-resident.
So this guy's also been, like, in the courts for, like, 2 years now.
The tenant, who's an Italy-based landlord, owned a single unit in the Montreal building. Lost the tax court appeal on the grounds they're a Canadian resident. Blah, blah, blah. The judge acknowledged the harsh consequences in her decision.
Yeah, the judge was like, this shouldn't be the law.
Yeah.
But it is the law, and I'm a judge, so it's my job to enforce it.
Yeah.
The judge was, like, doing their job.
Yeah.
But, my God, this should be the job.
Judges don't do their job sometimes. You cannot do your job this time. Like,
see, here's the thing. Judges will not do their job in any case where it's not upholding the ironclad rule of private property.
Right, yeah.
They can't jeopardize the incentive to be a landlord. That would be crazy.
Yeah, who would create housing if you didn't have landlords?
If you didn't have people buying up built houses and then renting them out.
Yeah, as one realtor said, in BC, where 1 in 10 new condos are owned by non-residents, what are the chances of that some of those non-resident landlords will stop paying their taxes? Yeah, it's just a pure incentive now.
Heaven. All right, well, let's scuffle along just a little bit. Thinking of the people in power kind of failing this case, there are other power failures happening across Canada, namely in Alberta. Am I doing this one, or straight? I
didn't read this one.
Oh, okay. I'm out here.
I think I skimmed it and I looked into the companies that were behind it, and it was kind of confusing what they are. So are they like public entities or are they private entities? But one of them is owned by the city of Calgary, but it's a for-profit company.
I don't know.
That was NMAX, I think we were talking about, where I looked at it and they had something saying that it is not owned by the government at all. It's purely privately owned and they run off of their profits. But then I think we looked it up and someone said it was owned, but we also know that Alberta's kind of going through a re-nationalization of its power infrastructure. So this might be like recent changes. This might also just be like something that is currently going on.
So NMAX is a private corporation with one shareholder, and that's the city of Calgary.
Okay,
so, How much of the company does Calgary own, though?
If it's a single shareholder.
Yeah, like 100.
Company.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that is what it is.
It's a public for-profit company.
Yes.
Okay, because I looked this up and it said the opposite.
Look at it, it's like $300 million profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Also, it provides power to both Alberta and Maine.
All right, this one I just kind of copied some quotes from the article for. Premier Danielle Smith has accused Calgary City Council of dragging its feet to implement the changes, while Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek said the city doesn't have the ability to receive approval from Alberta's utility regulatory body before 2027.
Jeez.
What? So nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens.
So what caused these blackouts? Was it like a generation collapse or?
I think, they said it was like a generation issue, and they just said people should start reducing all their power consumption unless they want blackouts. They've recently had a whole issue of their privatization of the energy sector absolutely spiking prices a ridiculous amount, and then it's still failing.
So they renationalized it, presumably lowered prices, and then it just caused like a shortage.
Yeah. So Calgary electricity users were paying $258, I think, per month in 2023 in local access fees, compared to $79 in Edmonton. When I wrote this down, I got that Calgary was privately owned and Edmonton was like state owned,
but it's completely,
or at least like a state owned company. But I think Calgary's going through switch ups, so it's just I got older information. There's newer information. But yeah, it's like they went from running the power themselves to privatizing it, and then constantly having to create more and more regulations. So it didn't save them any work, and then they now have to re-nationalize. So they've really outdone themselves.
So they re-nationalized it, and then they didn't expand capacity, which was like the problem.
Of course not. Well, I think they're just going through the constant paperwork changes of that process. That's what I assume. But I went into this expecting for us as biased news people to just be like, oh, dude, nationalization win, private companies look bad. But it appears I don't have the straight dub that I was hoping for.
No, it seems like the Alberta government has just botched this. But also, like, why is the city of Calgary in charge of the nationalization process?
Okay, so in Alberta, they said that they have, like, I think it was private utilities and then city-owned utilities. So that's just how it works, I guess, over there. I think that was right. Or was it provincial? Or
what? Well, I know Alberta does have like the markets for electricity much more than any other province, and they did it in '98, I think it was.
Okay.
But I don't know beyond that too much.
Yeah.
I know brownouts are much more common.
See, this seems more like an issue of like federalism versus unitary government. Like, they seem to have abstracted this nationalization process to various cities instead of just having the province step in and do all of it.
Yeah. Well, Calgary is the only Alberta municipality to tie a portion of its local access fee, otherwise known as the franchise fee, to market prices. And interestingly enough, it's like 4 times more expensive than everywhere else. Crazy how that
But they're still having blackouts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, they just love losing it.
I truly understand. So they said, okay, we want to nationalize it, but we can't just do that. You know, we're at the end of the day, we're a neoliberal country at best. So we, the city of Calgary, are now an individual shareholder, single shareholder of this private company still. Like they're doing the most to like still keep it like private while nationalizing it.
And also they didn't address the fundamental problem behind nationalizing it, which was the capacity issue, which was driving up prices and also causing these brownouts. But the prices are still high, the rolling brownouts are still happening, and it's just a confusing mess of who is responsible for what, when clearly the province should have just been doing this whole project and not letting Calgary have to figure this
out. Well, did anyone read on Finland? No? Alright, scratch that. And then for our last news story, we have the Cybertruck fucking sucks. Bennett, you start this one out.
Oh yeah. So Tesla, what a company. What can you say about Tesla other than it fucking sucks? Like as someone who has a bit of a research background in self-driving, Tesla has its own internal issues with that kind of have completely destroyed its head start in the area. That's kind of irrelevant to this specific problem, which is build quality. Tesla has some of the worst build quality in the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, panel gaps in all their cars, shit doesn't work. It's like people are getting trapped in the vehicles are locking them out or locking them in.
Didn't Kennedy's wife or something die?
Yes! A Tesla recently drove its own, it was Mitch McConnell's...
Mitch McConnell's...
sister-in-law? Or something like that. Was trapped in her Tesla and it rolled back into a water hazard on a golf course and she drowned.
Because she couldn't open the door because of some software thing?
Yeah, because of a software Did you not hear?
I can't believe they actually...
I think even in my, like, we've covered Tesla once before.
Yeah.
And I said that, like, the ultimate nightmare is software. Everything, like, you can have software to make things cool, but everything needs to have a physical backup.
Yeah.
Like,
I am totally against drive-by-wire. Fly-by-wire kind of works in the air, but drive-by-wire...
What's drive-by-wire?
Drive-by-wire is the idea that when you turn the steering wheel,
sure,
right, a computer records the angle instead of the steering wheel actually turning the axle.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, think of turning the axle. I saw a video just this morning of someone turning their Tesla's wheels to the right using the turn-by-wire, and then turning it to the left, and the wheels just turn towards each other.
Yeah, so they're turn-by-wire
to the axle.
Yeah, so but every car now is doing drive-by-wire, which I think is a bad idea because it creates more points of failure. Yeah. Right.
Wow.
But like often new cars won't even have like the gear shift. They'll have buttons.
Yeah.
That are like gear shift by wire.
So I found out that like the reason they do that now is because like for the last 20 or so years, like the gear shifts hasn't actually been shifting gears. It's just telling a computer what to do. But like that's not the same for the steering wheel, like, right? Like how long has drive-by-wire been a thing?
It's been for a while now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
True.
But like
it's been a thing,
like they didn't
but it
have
hasn't been as big.
I know like the car I drive, which is a 2010, does not have drive-by-wire.
Yeah.
Right.
But cars made in the late 2010s often do.
They exist, but it's not as popular.
Right? It's probably smoother.
It's probably way smoother. I mean, like, honestly, I would rather my car fight me a little bit if something's wrong. Like, what I don't want is to turn it smoothly and nothing actually is happening in the car.
Yeah, you turn it smoothly and it just breaks the fucking axle.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite video was a guy standing outside of his Cybertruck, filming his Cybertruck. Did we say the actual story that all Cybertrucks have been?
Oh no, I was getting to it. Due to build faults, all Cybertrucks have been recalled. They're all being pulled back. I think it's for a variety of issues.
Yeah.
Corrosion was a huge problem because the thing's made of like just unvarnished steel, basically.
Yeah. They said it was like, oh, this is a truck that you can use on any planet, but it's like it doesn't even work on the one it needs to.
Yeah.
Like really.
I love Cybertruck owners because I know about the water thing because someone posted on Twitter, one of the like Cybertruck like fanboys like, attention, do not take your Cybertruck in a car wash without putting it in car wash mode. And then number 2, if you do go through a car wash without putting it in car wash mode, do not tell Tesla or they will void your warranty. Like what
car wash mode?
Yeah.
What is that?
I think essentially it shuts down a bunch of stuff so water doesn't go flying in places where it shouldn't go. But apparently, even if you do put it in car wash mode, it doesn't completely stop water from getting everywhere.
So car wash mode closes all windows. Oh, where is it?
What?
All windows, locks the charge port, disables windshield wipers, sentry mode, walk-away door locking, and parking sensor chimes.
Okay,
so it's just shit that you should do.
It closes off all the sensor ports.
Basically.
Yeah, which makes sense because it's got a lot of electronics in it. Mm-hmm. But also like, what if you need to drive it when it rains?
Yeah. Okay, there was another issue where it's like you shouldn't wash your car, and like it needs to dry before there's any sun. or else it'll fuck up the metal.
Oh, here you go. Damage caused by car washes is not covered by warranty.
Yeah.
Wait, even if you do put it in car wash mode, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my favorite Tesla video is a guy standing outside, and you can tell it's like raining or something, but he goes, "Oh, look at this Cybertruck and how it takes all of this hail like a boss." And I was like, "Oh my god, bro!" Like, it's not even like if this was a big hailstorm with like the 2-inch hail things that are like actually bad. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. But you're standing in the hail. Like, if your car can take hail worse than your own skin, your car is just fucked. Like, but this is. It's being so impressed by like the minimum possible acceptable standard.
Okay, what exactly was the fault that caused the recall? That I don't know. I know Cybertrucks have had a lot of faults.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even look because I knew everything was wrong.
I didn't read the story, but if the last crazy thing that happened was...
Look that up right now. So 4,000 Cybertrucks were recalled Wednesday. Yes, it's from April 26th. This is a few weeks old.
Yeah.
4,000 Cybertrucks were recalled Wednesday over a defect with the accelerator causing it to get stuck when pressed.
Right!
Yeah.
I do remember
Yeah.
There's
the cover.
I don't even know who designed this thing. There's like a perfect little nook where when you press down the accelerator, when you press it down, there's a little nook there, and the accelerator just has like a plastic slider on top of it. And so when you press it down... first of all, before we even get to that, some people said instead of the glue they were supposed to use to attach it, they were using like some kind of soap or some shit to attach it. So it wasn't being attached properly, so it would like dislodge from it. But it slides off and it slides into that little nook and keeps the accelerator down like 100, like full throttle, like 100% of the way. And I can't even imagine like designing that. Like it had to be on purpose. Like it makes no sense for that thing to be there. Yeah, like it. You talk about like quality control. Like I don't even know. This has to be malicious in some way. I feel like even if you were cutting corners...
I think it's literally cutting corners. I think everyone's cutting quality control.
If it's such an insane corner to cut, and such a perfect little corner they cut to fit...
probably could call you Here's the thing, is that we know, like we've already talked about this, we know that Tesla has not cut one corner. They have cut every single safety corner in the book. Like, they have done no testing, no thought. The design is made for beheading children.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Oh my god!
It's like, you have to understand that at no point did anyone think, oh, is this a bad idea? They thought, this looks kind of cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. I disagree. I think a lot of people in Tesla thought this thing is stupid as shit.
I know that's true.
Yeah,
I know that's true because...
Yeah.
Let me sling some rumors here, right? From the self-driving research community. Okay, so according to the self-driving research community buzz, apparently a lot of effort is expended in Tesla just stopping Elon Musk from doing anything.
Oh, I've read internal memos that say the same shit.
Yeah, apparently Elon Musk, they need to have a guy on him that just distracts him all the time.
So and that's how the company gets
so that he doesn't go, because he keeps going to departments and doing some Steve Jobs shit where he's like, you don't actually need that. Right? So, the one that really pissed off self-driving researchers at Tesla was that he went to them and he's like, oh, this is the sensor suite. Cut it all down to stereo cameras because humans only use stereo cameras.
Oh, that's why they don't have LiDAR at all?
Yeah, exactly. Because humans use stereo cameras, our eyes or whatever, right? Yeah. There's a few issues with this. One, a self-driving car's argument for its existence, the reason we're doing all this effort and research is that it's supposed to be better than humans.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? The other issue is that the human brain is refined by 300,000 years of continuous evolution.
Right.
If you use like a neural network analogy, and they're training the self-driving AI at Tesla for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
There's no way it's going to be as good at object detection and image processing as a human is.
Right.
Just on stereo camera.
Yeah.
It needs the LiDAR to reliably detect objects, which caused a lot of like high-profile fuck-ups. I don't know if you saw that viral video where they did a side-by-side Tesla versus another self-driving car competitor with the kid test. And they had the two kids, and the competitor stopped correctly because the LiDAR detected the kid, and the Tesla just went right through it. There's also...
they did like parking lot tests with just like... even when it was just pictures of people.
Yeah.
Tesla would like swerve out of its way to hit them.
It's the trolley problem, but the train has its mind of its own. It is its own shuttle.
I think it's important to recognize that the entire thing that Tesla had going for it was that it was an electrical car company.
Yeah.
But like every car company is an electrical car company.
Yeah. And then their new thing was that they were the self-driving company, but now they've been lapped basically.
They're not
that
good at
too.
Yeah.
And so they've not really gotten their niche properly, so they're just losing out hard. So their entire thing is we gotta go fast now. We just gotta be the first ones out.
But I think honestly they cut quality control. They cut quality control not only because it lowers development time, but also because I think it's the Boeing model, where they realized it would be cheaper to just assassinate whistleblowers than to have a permanent quality control department.
Right.
But yeah, how
we should have an update on the Boeing thing.
Yeah, we did cover Boeing. I think we covered the 737 MAX disaster in Portland.
Well, I think the update is pretty quick, where it's like all of the safety concerns have been verified true, and just like 4 more whistleblowers have been shot.
I think we're reaching sort of a cyberpunk world where companies have realized it is just cheaper to hire hitmen.
Gosh.
Yeah, well, if they keep wages low, you know. Like, I doubt hitman prices have changed much since the COVID
Their
crisis.
wages are also low.
Yeah. I imagine...
The thing with hitmen is they take payment in Bitcoin, so you just need to sort of buy Bitcoin during a dip.
Yeah. And... God, good lord. Good lord.
Okay, Lisa and I have to head out soon.
Yeah, I guess, well, we'll end the episode around there.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Folks.
Welcome to season 2.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you ideally next week. I'm really trying to fix this shit. Look, it's been a time and a half. We'll cover AI therapy next time. All right.
Okay. All right.
Peace out.
Bye.